But up next, this was a lot higher scoring game. This one was more exciting to watch. We've got the Dallas Cowboys versus the Carolina Darnolds.
Carolina Darnolds.
The Carolina Darnolds are here to lose to the Cowboys. So the Cowboys ended up winning that game, but Sam Darnold had himself a day, 33.54 fantasy points. According to Yahoo, let's see what the FanDuel scoring was on this. 33.54, 2 rushing touchdowns, 2 throwing touchdowns, 301 passing yards for Sam Darnold. I hope he started him against the Cowboys. And I was telling JL that I was so happy to see this because I aggressively started Sam Darnold this week against this Cowboys defense. And even outside of Sam Darnold, my biggest takeaway from this game has nothing to do with the Panthers. It has to do with starting your players against the Cowboys. Their defense even looked good. Diggs is out there making phenomenal plays, but these games are all just so high scoring. Start your quarterback, start your receivers against the Cowboys. Josh, what do you think?
Yeah, Sam Darnold looked so good. He looked fast, man. He literally he looked quick.
RB1 Sim.
I
said to JL during
like this
when he got his 5th rushing touchdown. I don't know if it's still the case after the rest of the games that happened.
On the season.
On the season.
No, I got you.
I don't know if it's still the case. Someone else can fact check, but FanDuel saying that's RB1 Sam Darnold to you. When he got that touchdown, he led the league in rushing touchdowns on the year. Number 1.
Still does.
Sam Darnold leads the league in rushing touchdowns with 5 rushing touchdowns. We didn't see that from him. Is this something we can just expect from his game going forward? They use him in the red zone to run? Because he doesn't strike me as that kind of player at all. But they've done it consistently.
If it's
working, he just looked like really fast. I didn't know Sam Darnold could run like this. I'm not expecting it going forward, but I think it's a little bit of an anomaly. But he looked fast, like I keep saying. So, yeah, it raises his floor significantly if they're analytic.
What this does is it confirms to me, like I needed any more evidence, that Adam Gase is a bad coach.
Yes. Dale, that's the nicest thing that's been said about Adam Gase in the last 24 hours, without a doubt, that he's a bad coach.
Without a doubt.
He's such a bad coach.
Yeah. Sam Darnold looked great, and DJ Moore looked like a monster out there. Sam Darnold had 2 passing touchdowns, and they both went to DJ Moore. Looked like the beast he is. Chuba Hubbard, fine. I mean, disappointing. He came in, he got the majority of the rushing work, but not much there. How do you guys feel about the Carolina rushing game without Christian McCaffrey? Are you starting Chuba Hubbard?
I've been saying this since the preseason, that their offensive line is terrible, that Chuba Hubbard was not going to be able to do the same stuff that CMC is able to do because that offensive line is so bad. Doesn't mean that he's not
CMC,
and he's not CMC. It's just the bottom line. And so, really, where he was gonna make his fantasy points here is going to be in the receiving game. And in this game, 2 receptions for 14 yards. That is not on 2 targets. So that's not promising. That's not what you want to see, because otherwise, Chuba Hubbard's just going to have a hard time really getting past that line of scrimmage.
Mike Davis did the biggest disservice to fantasy managers ever by balling out last year when McCaffrey went down. Because they gave us this idea that whoever gets plugged into this Carolina offense is going to step in and be an RB1, and that's just not the case. I agree with you, Jail. I'm not
should have been able to
Chuba
see
Hubbard.
that because they used him in the preseason that way. They gave him all of the opportunities in the preseason, and he wasn't able to make it happen. So the evidence is right there.
They discredit preseason if it doesn't support their narrative, and then credit it if it does. How preseason is used. Josh, you look like you're contemplating something.
I'm still willing to start him. I mean, if Sam Darnold getting the 2 rushing touchdowns, they could go Chuba Hubbard's way. You know,
yes.
I'm absolutely still willing to throw him in my lineup, but yeah, it's not Christian McCaffrey, not at all.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you don't start Chuba Hubbard, but you got to have your expectations in check here. In check. And really what made Chuba Hubbard so interesting in the waiver wire this week is the opportunities that he's going to get. 13 carries is fantastic. I would love to see that. And hopefully he's going to have more efficient games there. And hopefully he gets used in the receiving game more.